trying to leave the table. Phone calls, toilet breaks, unstable. And don't you think that we can all tell you're insecure? You know, remember way back then in school? Cause what did anybody ever say no to you? Or did anybody ever say no to you? Whoa, I don't think I have a clue. Cause what did anybody ever say no to you? Or does anybody ever say no to you? Whoa. Woo! Nothing so. Cause I don't think so. Get the number for the cat call as you're dashing out the front door. You claim to try to dodge the cat call and got the time short. And yes, you always do that one thing. Cause when you throw and trash me under your drink, I'm trying to figure out what that means. I took it as a taunt.
Knowing what we know, knowing what we don't know. This is gonna change our world. Feeling how I feel, I'll accept the unreal. If you be my no-eyed girl. From nowhere, mankind can't go there. Too much light, blinding what your matter. Tell mine to scatter. It's alright, it's alright. From the moment that we met, I've been awake like I've never been awake in all my life. If I spoke your language, I could tell you how I feel, but your language isn't real. In every myth, there's a little bit of truth, but I cannot say a thing. I cannot say a thing without proof. Oh no. Knowing what we know, knowing what we do not know. This is gonna change our world. I might go insane if I learn to flow. If you be my no-eyed girl. From nowhere, mankind can't go there. Too much light, blinding white emotions, shooting implosions. It's alright, it's alright. Right before the kiss, I noticed something in the air. Molecules exist.
waiting till the morning. You're the sunlight when it's raining. Love me when I hate me when I cry. You're my breath, you're my breath of air. Clear when I'm wrong, when I'm down, when my head is in the clouds, when I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you. Butterflies, butterflies, but your gravity takes over my mind. But you know it's back by your side. Realize, realize, even when I say I won't, even when I say I don't, I really need you, 'cause you've been holding out for me all day. I know that you'll stay through the tears and the hurt and the pain. Waiting up for you, waiting up for me, waiting till the morning. You're my safety when I'm falling. Gave up your wings so I can fly. You're my breath, you're my breath of air. Clearing up.
Happy Saturday evening live tutorial stream. How's everyone doing wherever you are today? Lori is cold. Ace is middling. We were warm here in Dallas today. It was actually a beautiful day. It's once again one of those days where if I didn't have to be at work, I would have probably been hanging out outside in my garden. It was awful humid this morning though. I do remember that. When I let the cats out, it was very sticky. So we'll see how tomorrow goes. Yes, so we'll see how tomorrow goes. I do need to do some garden work tomorrow, even though it is Easter. I was chastised on Zoom last night by Mary for the fact that I haven't planted my cucumbers or my tomatoes or my peppers yet.
I did hear that, yes.
So I really need to get those things in the ground or they're never going to grow enough to withstand the heat of summer. So that's going to be me tomorrow is seed planting. Also, I'll show this again on the sales stream, but I did finish. I got it out of the tumbler and I finished the Luna Moth pendant from the Wednesday and Thursday tutorial. I need to buff that little bit out still by hand because the tumbler didn't get that. I decided to set faceted stones in my bezel cups instead of cabochons. So the way that you do that is I drilled holes through the back, and so that gives the point of the stone a place to rest, and then that's an amethyst in the center. So that's my completed Luna Moth pendant, which has actually already sold, but I'm probably gonna have to make another one, and I'm gonna have to make another one after that because I really want one for myself as well. But yeah, so that I will show that again on the sales stream so that everyone can see it, but those of you who tuned in for the tutorial get the first look. So tonight's tutorial is super easy, but I am incredibly excited about it. It is Keychain Bangle, this right here, and the reason I'm excited about it is because I always have a handful of stuff. I'm always carrying 17 million different things, so it's nice to have some sort of facility for putting my keys not in my hands, because invariably what I'll do is I'll have my keys in my hands first, and then I'll hold all my bags, and then all of a sudden I need my keys, but they're inaccessible because I've trapped them behind all of the 17 baggages that I am carrying. So I have a lanyard right now. It's super sexy and soccer mom-like. It's, you know, pretty fantastic. But I've always been intrigued by these, you know, fun bangle things for keychains, but they're all too big for me because I have one of the few things about me that remains smaller than average after the pandemic is my hands and my wrists. And so the keychain bangles that they sell in the store, you know, I put my keys on there and one dramatic gesture, my keys are all the way across the parking lot. So very excited to make one for myself that is my size, and I'm very excited to take you guys along on that journey with me tonight. So what do you need as far as supplies and tools go? So supplies, this is kind of a loosey-goosey sort of tutorial. I mean, pretty much you need beads of some sort, and I'm actually going to use these silicone black and white beads. I'm going to use the other half of the strand. that I used for my sample. So as far as things you absolutely need, you need some kind of beads. You're gonna need a keychain ring, obviously. I like using a clip because then if I need to clip my, keys off of this, say to give them to someone to move my car or whatever, it makes it super useful and easy to facilitate. Various different things to hang off of your keychain. So I have a tassel, and I'm actually going to be using this tassel tonight, this black and gold one. I've got a little white drop. I've got my hamsa. I like the hamsa. I'm using the darker colored version of that. I have my keychain finding. I have my little clippy. I'm debating about bells. I may or may not put bells on my keychain. Not sure. And then I need wire. So the wire that I need is going to be 16 gauge. I'm using 16 gauge bronze because I want something that's pretty sturdy for my little bangle that I'm making. I do need a soldered ring or a split ring to kind of create the center here. You need to make sure that this is a closed ring, okay? So you don't put a jump ring here. I promise it's not going to work out well for you. And then I'm going to use some 22 gauge wire, and I just have this little bit of 22 gauge gold filled that I'm going to use up, and that's going to be how I'm going to hang my little charmies from this with, surprise surprise, a basic wire wrapped loop. As far as tools go, I'm going to need my basic wire working hand tools. That's going to be my chain nose pliers, my round nose pliers, and my wire cutters. And then my life will be made much easier if I also have this tool. This is a split ring tool. Now you can get away without this tool for this project, but it's so very much easier if you have it. So I'm going to start by kind of putting together my little charmy bit and my keychain bit, and then I'm going to string my beads and I'm going to assemble the whole project for you. So let's start with the charmy bit. So the charmy bit, and yes, charmy bit is a technical term for anybody who didn't know it. I promise. Ask any beader, they will tell you charmy bit is a totally legitimate term. 100% legitimate. Oh, also, by the way, my computer's acting up a bit again. So if I completely disappear for a minute or 5, it's because the computer crapped out on me. If you just hear me yell curse words really loud, it's because the computer crapped out on me, but I'm still on stream. So, these things happen. Just warning you all of the potential for cursing. Just the charmy bits. Oh, yay! Thank you, Heather. So, by the way, I will get to the project in just a second, but I have fun stuff for y'all on the sale tonight. I decided I'm going to do tiny shinies tonight, and also some medium shinies, including I had Heather divvy up some strands of black opals into mini strands for tonight's sale. Like, look at that one right there. It's so freaking pretty. It's even prettier with the lights on. Yeah, so we've got some mini strands of black opals for y'all tonight, and I've got tiny shinies, some of which you've probably seen before. Hi, Smee, and some of which are going to be new to you. So, yeah, tiny shinies are what's going to be on tonight's live merchandise sale. Oh, so that was spurred by the fact that I just noticed that Heather had put them by my spot. So, okay, now we're assembling our charmy bits and our keychain bits, and then we're going to take those and we're going to assemble the whole thing. So, Not surprisingly, we are going to use a basic wire wrapped link to assemble our charmy bit. So basically what I have here is I've got a charm, like a pre-made cubic zirconia drop charm. I'm going to use the white one for my project tonight. On my sample I used the pink one. And then I'm going to do a basic wire wrap link with a bead to attach my charm onto, god damn it. Hey, I'm back. Yeah, that was a lot of cursing. Sorry, y'all. Oh my gosh. One might even say that was prescient, what I said earlier. Sorry, everybody. Hope everybody knows those words, because if you didn't, yeah, whoops.
If you didn't, those weren't real words. Those were words Allison made up, but you should never say them.
Only if you're on Mars.
Yes.
So,
I forgot about that.
so what I was about to say when I started cursing because my computer screen went black was, keychains take a ton of abuse. So wire wraps, split rings, soldered rings, heavy wire. You know, if you're making something that's a keychain, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. Otherwise, your keychain is not gonna last for hardly any time at all. You know, keychains get thrown into your purse. For those of us who carry a purse, they get, you know, jangled around in your car. If you're me, they get dropped on the ground at least 4 or 5 times a week. So, you know, you need to make sure that when you're constructing this, that you're really placing emphasis on constructing things in a sturdy fashion, because otherwise you're going to be just wantonly losing bits of your keychain. So, basic wire wrap loop, very sturdy method of construction. That is why we are going to use it to link our bead and our charm to our soldered ring. So, I've got my 22 gauge wire here. You could use 20 if it would fit through your bead. And like I said, I just have this little scrap of 22 gauge, so that's what I'm using just because it's a good project to use it up on. And we're gonna do a basic wire wrap loop. Now, basic wire wrap loop, in my not so humble opinion, is one of the most useful things that you can possibly learn as far as beading and wire work goes. You can use it for so many things. It's a very sturdy way to construct things, and once you get the hang of it, it's not that difficult. Getting the hang of it is a whole other process. Apparently my face cam likes my camera better than my face. We have a number of tutorials out there on the basic wire wrap loop. Most of them are entitled Back to Basics Wire Wrapped something. So if you go back on Facebook, you go back on Twitch, if this is a new technique to you and you really want, you know, more of a deep dive into this technique, just go back to one of our archive tutorials. We got lots of them out there. We're gonna do it tonight only once, so I will narrate it as I'm doing it, but if this is a new technique to you or a technique that you are finding difficult to master, what is really going to help you get over that hump is doing a project that has lots of wire wraps in it. Okay, so not just doing one here, one there, you know, doing a project like, you know, a chain of tears necklace, or like a, you know, wire wrapped dangle necklace, or, you know, wire wrapped earrings, doing something where you're going to have to do it again and again and again and again and again in that same project. Even though that may sound like torture to some of you, I promise that's actually the way you get good at it. That's the way I got good at it. That's the way I tell my staff. That's the way most of them got good at it. It's like you really just have to kind of push through and get that muscle memory going. But for today, we're just going to do one wire wrap link, and I'm going to narrate as I do it. So I'm going to start with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to hold my round nose pliers so that they are about 1.5 inches to 2 inches from the end of my wire. I want kind of a medium-sized loop. I'm not attaching it to anything particularly large, so it doesn't need to be giant. So I'm going to go, you know, about halfway down my pliers or so. I'm a right-handed individual, so my left hand is going to be doing most of the work in this particular technique. I'm going to push my wire away from me, over my pliers to make a 90-degree angle, like so. Then I'm going to loosen my pliers up. So notice what I've done is I've loosened my pliers so that they're not grabbing my wire anymore, but I haven't moved them from that little corner that I made. That's, you know, one of the things is to kind of separate those two reflexes of, you know, just being able to leave your pliers exactly where they are, but relax your grip. Now I'm going to rotate that pliers in that corner just an eighth of a turn and grab again. So what I've done is I've changed my point of grip from here to here. A small but significant adjustment of your pliers. Now I'm going to take the piece of wire that is, if I were sitting here in a normal working position, instead of trying to show this to my camera, that wire would be on the opposite side of my pliers from where I am. So I'm going to take that wire, I'm going to pull it back up over the top of my pliers towards me and down, so that I'm starting to make a circle, starting to make a loop, forming it around my round nose pliers. This is why we use round pliers, to make round loops. Now I need to finish this loop, but I have a problem. This jaw of my pliers is in the way, so all I'm going to do is once again relax my grip on my pliers, rotate them out of the way, grab my wire again, and finish my loop by pushing my wire underneath my pliers so that I get this, and this is what we call Our Lady with the Scarf. So it's basically a centered loop, a loop that is centered over this long piece of wire with a tail coming out from it. That's what we're going to use to wrap. And I'm going to take this loop and I'm going to link it onto my soldered ring. So just thread that up, that wire, and into the loop, like so. Then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, those are the flat ones, I'm going to hold across my loop. The gauge on my wire, Amy, is 22 gauge, but you could use 20 gauge. I wouldn't use anything smaller than 22 though. So 22 or 20 is what you're going to want for this particular part of the process, because once again, keychains take a lot of abuse. Hold across your loop and then wrap this wire starting at the base of the loop, and we're going to wrap around. Now notice when I'm wrapping around, I want nice tight wraps. I want them to be tight to my core wire, and I want them to be stacked really close together vertically. And I'm just going to go 3 wraps around, and then I'm going to trim off that wire. It's been a very burny week for me. It's just been a week, but anyone wondering what that is, that was my curling iron, and then I singed. You may notice that I have no hair left on this finger because I singed it off 2 days ago. It's been a week. Okay, so I cut my wire off. I have a pokey stabby. We don't like pokey stabbies on the Beading Dream Stream, so I'm just going to grab that with my chain nose, press it down like so, and that is my basic wire wrap loop. Now I'm going to take my hamsa, or whatever bead you're using, and I'm going to thread that onto my wire. So of course, whatever gauge of wire you decide to use for this particular part of the project, whether it's 20 or 22, whatever beads you've chosen to use in this position on the project obviously needs to fit on your wire. And I guess what I'm saying okay, definitely restarting the computer before the sales stream. But anyway, as I was saying before I froze again, at least I didn't shout obscenities this time. So, what I really am getting at when I say prioritize sturdiness in keychains specifically is, if you've got a bead that you really want to use on your keychain and it doesn't fit on 22 or 25, 22 or 20 gauge wire, don't use it. Use a different bead. So, now that I've got my hamsa on, and I think I'm back broadcasting, I hope. It looks like I am. Yes. Looks like I'm still live. So, now I'm going to make another basic wire wrap loop on the other side of my bead, which means I need to figure out where I put my round nose pliers. And cool, I am still live. Okay, so now I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to place them so that they're touching that bead, and I'm going to do another basic wire wrap loop. So I'm going to go, oh dear, that was a little more intense than it needed to be. So I'm going to go away from myself to make a 90-degree angle, loosen my pliers, rotate them 1/8 of a turn, grab again, come back up over the top, don't hit myself in the face, to start making that loop, loosen my pliers, rotate them out of the way, and push my wire underneath my pliers and a way for me to finish that loop, make my lady with a scarf. Now I'm going to grab my little charm and I'm going to just thread my wire into that charm like so, pop it into the loop, grab my chain nose pliers, hold across that loop, and I'm going to wrap starting at the base of that loop all the way down until I reach my bead. And that handily is 3 wraps. Trim, press down, and there we go. So that's my little charmy bit. Now I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to go ahead and attach all of my little functional keychain bits together, and for that I'm going to grab my split ring tool. So split ring tool it's a one-trick pony of a tool. It doesn't do anything except open split rings, but I promise, as somebody who does this for a living, this tool is well worth your $20. Even if you only open 5 split rings a year, I don't even care. This tool is well worth your $20 because split rings are an utter pain in the ass, and anybody who's ever struggled and broken their nails trying to open split rings, this tool is life-changing. I'm not a huge fan of gadgety tools or one-trick pony tools, but split ring tools, I'm firmly in favor of. That's my soapbox for this stream, is get yourself a split ring tool. So how does a split ring tool work? You're like, okay, there's this weird thing and it's supposed to open split rings, so what the heck do I do with it? I will show you. So a split ring is this little double wrapped ring that's a miniature version of, you know, the keychain ring that we're all familiar with. And these come in different sizes. This is kind of a medium large size. They come in, you know, 6mm, 8mm. I think this is like a 10mm split ring. But the way it works is you're going to take your split ring tool and you're going to put the little beaky part of it right in between the 2 sides of the split ring, and then you're going to press down, and voila, look at that. Look how gorgeous that is. It's going to open up your split ring without you having to destroy your already semi-destroyed fake French manicure thumbnail trying to open that split ring. Now I'm going to grab my tassel, and this is the only part about this that's a little tricky, so I'm just going to move this down a little bit so I've got a little bit more kind of open ring here, and I'm going to thread that split ring onto this loop of my tassel because this is way too tiny to go onto my keychain ring, so I need an intermediary ring. Once you've got it on there, then you're just going to grab pliers of your choice. In this case it's going to be my chain nose, and I'm just going to rotate that split ring around until it pops back closed. Now the cool thing about these is they work on keychain rings too, y'all. They're the best. So I'm going to take my split ring tool and I'm going to open up my keychain ring, and then onto my keychain ring I'm going to thread both my tassel and my little clippy, and this is just, this can be a large lobster claw, this is this more kind of industrial, like a badge clip, like whatever will clip and unclip your keychain from your bangle bracelet you can use. And you don't have to use a clip either. If you wanted to, you could literally just, you know, thread your soldered ring on there as well and have this be permanently attached to your bangle bracelet. So then I'm gonna once again use my pliers to spin around my keychain ring, and there is my little tassel-y bit. So now it's time to put this all together. So when you're making a bangle, what you want to do to determine how long you need to make it, really, camera, thank you, is, because this doesn't have an opening, this doesn't have a clasp, this is just a slip over the hand bangle, so you need to take a, not a ruler, the other one, a tape measure, and measure around the largest part of your hand. I would say make a duck with your hand, quack, 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 and measure around that. So For me, I know that measurement is 7 inches. Your commercially available bangles are typically 8 inches circumference, which is why they're way too big for me. So I've got the rest of the strand that I used for my sample, which is 7 inches long, so I'm totally good because I'm going to have also a little bit of leeway because I've got my jump ring there and my 2 loops that are going to add some length. So I'm going to take my 16 gauge wire and I'm going to cut myself just a little bit longer than I'm going to need because I need to make those loops. So I'm making a 7-inch bangle. I'm going to cut myself 8 inches of 16 gauge wire. This is 16 gauge bronze because bronze is nice and sturdy. Now you could also do this with memory wire if that's something that you have handy. I don't really like memory wire because it doesn't really like me. It likes to stab me. So 16 gauge bronze was my choice, but just bear in mind that like if memory wire is a wire that you like to work with, it's definitely a valid option for this project. I'm gonna grab my round nose pliers and I'm just gonna make a loop at the end of this wire. It doesn't have to be centered. I'm just gonna rotate that around to make my little P-shaped loop. And then I'm going to open that loop up and take my soldered ring, which is under my tassel, drop that onto that loop, and then close it up. Now I'm going to string my 7 inches of beads onto this 16 gauge wire, and these silicone beads have huge holes, so they work great on the 16 gauge wire. It is a bit of a thicker gauge, so again, you're gonna have to really curate the beads that you're using based on the wire, because not every bead fits on 16 gauge wire. So I'm just stringing all of my little silicone beads onto my wire. So once again, those of you who just showed up, welcome. After this tutorial stream, about half an hour after the stream, so probably around 7:30 tonight, we will have a live merchandise sale. We're going to be doing tiny shinies tonight on our live merchandise sale, so that is either going to encourage some people to watch the sale or flee from the sale, depending upon the state of, you know, their tiny shiny stash and the state of their pocketbook. But we do have some new tiny shinies for you tonight, plus these really pretty little mini strands of black opals. The other great thing about these silicone beads, stringing them on the 16 gauge wires, it goes really, really fast. I like fast projects, especially on Saturday nights. Also, I'll reiterate this on the sale. I did say this on Zoom last night. I had said on Wednesday or Thursday I think it was, that next week was going to be an unconventional streaming week. And it is still going to be a little bit, but unfortunately my dad and my stepmom had to cancel their trips, so we will mostly be having a conventional streaming week next week, except for the fact that Heather will be streaming Freeform Friday. But other than that, we will have a torch project on Thursday. I'd said we weren't going to, but we will have a torch project on Thursday, and we'll have a regular sale on Saturday. Just like normal, because I won't be off of work. But I am throwing Heather under the proverbial bus just a little bit for the Freeform Friday stream.
She throwed me.
I did. I throwed her. I pushed her. Push. Under the bus. Okay, so now I've got all my beads strung on, so now I'm just going to make my second loop. The way you do that is super simple. You're just going to... The only thing about this that's a little bit tricky is you gotta kind of guesstimate how much wire you need to make this loop. So I'm gonna trim that down to about there. And then I'm gonna grab with my pliers, I'm gonna turn under another loop just like my first one, and then I'm just gonna roll this around. Open up that loop. hook it onto your soldered ring. And by hook it onto your soldered ring, I mean hook it onto your soldered ring. Don't try to hook it onto your soldered ring and fail on the internet like I just did. And then we're going to close that up. And then you can put this on a bracelet mandrel to round it out if you want to, or you can just sort of finger shape it. I do like my bangles actually to be a little bit more oval than round, so I'm just going to finger shape it. I'm going to make sure that it does in fact fit me, which it does. Hooray for that. And then the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little keychain bit that I already created, and just going to open up the clippy and clip it onto my little bangle. And there we go. That's it. That's our keychain bangle. Super incredibly simple project, but very useful. Also a really fun gift. And you know, doesn't take a ton of time, doesn't take a ton of materials, and something that's both useful and pretty, which are of course my favorite kinds of gifts. Also, apparently I decided against using bells on my keychain because I completely forgot that I had them here, so I'm taking that as the universe saying that I don't need bells on my keychain. But if I did, I was just going to put them on a split ring and then attach them to my soldered ring here. So you can put as many charmy bits as you want to on this thing. On this soldered ring, you can put them on the keychain, so it's got a lot of facility for, you know, coolness happening. But that's it. That's our keychain bangle project. Super happy with the way this turned out. Again, really easy project, very simple and fun, and once again just makes me so happy that I have one now. So thanks so much for hanging out with us on our Saturday evening live tutorial stream. I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. We're here on Lovers Lane in Dallas. We are here to feed your need to bead 6 days a week. We're here Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. It really is, Michelle, seriously, from 1 p.m. until 6 p.m. If you're not local in Dallas, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream. 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We do stream Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights at 6 p.m. Central, plus Thursdays at noon. And we do live merchandise sales every Wednesday and every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. So that means that we will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, with a live merchandise sale featuring tiny shinies and mini black opal strands in just 30 minutes at 7:30. If you're not going to be able to join us for the sale, thanks so much for joining us for the tutorial, and of course we look forward to seeing you back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, for another tutorial next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m. Or sometime thereafter. So it is time for me to go do 17 things and get ready for the sale, and we will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/beadingdream, in just 30 minutes with a live sale. So everyone take care, and we'll see you soon. Breathe ashes.